we're going to install a pergola, a 10 by 10 kit pergola to be exact. We've already prepped our foundation site here with some sauna tubes that are down 3 feet in the ground and tubes inside of those to accept the steel on the end of our columns. So the first thing we did is we measured everything to be 10 feet on center, and then we check it for square as well. This is critical because as we build the pergola, this is our only chance to adjust it for square. So it is in the foundation. That won't take place later on. So now that we have our foundation in and everything is square, we'll go ahead and put our columns up. Now typically we would use bigger pipe inside this because we would use a hydraulic cement to hold this up permanently. In this case it's a demonstration, so we use a smaller pipe. We'll just slide it in. While these guys slide on the capitals and bases, we'll finish applying the joist brackets here. Now they've already laid them out for us, so we'll just finish a few. In the instructions, it specifies, depending on the kit pergola that you choose, it specifies the on-center spacing, which is critical to follow for the correct look when you're done. There will also be a joist on top of the joint between the beam and the column, but we can't put the hanger on until after we bolt the column and the beam in place. They slid the bases down over the column, which typically this would rest against the patio or the deck, depending on the installation, and then this would be screwed into place. And then they've dropped these capitals on top, which will actually be friction fit with the bolt that goes through the beam. These capitals are held in place with friction. It's critical to make them square before we bolt the beams in place. Now that the beams are up and bolted into place, we need to seal the joint where the bolt comes through. This is a critical step to make sure water doesn't get inside the pergola beam or the pergola column. That could be very problematic. So what we'll do is take one of the 4 beam covers that comes supplied with the pergola kit, and caulking is in that kit as well. Go around the bottom with caulking, just to get a nice tight seal in there. And then around the top. And there's a self-adhesive sticker that also comes in the kit. The final step of sealing this off. Just place that right over the hole. Now we attach the last pergola bracket. Now we're ready for the joists. For the sake of demonstration, we've already pre-marked and pre-drilled these pergola joists, but it's critical that we come in 6 1/4 inches from the end with a mark, which shows how to align the joist along the edge of the beam. And then we turn it over and mark with the appropriate on-centers for the specific pergola length as specified in the instructions. So once we get one joists marked like that, we'll actually line them all up and mark all the way across. This is a critical process at this point because it's much easier to do on the ground than it is from a ladder. Now, as we slide the pergola joist into place, we always fasten one side first. This dimension right here, this is that 6 1/4 mark. We want to take this mark and line it up evenly with the edge of the beam. Now we've placed all the joists on top of the pergola beams. We're only fastening the 4 outside corners first so that we can pull everything into alignment. So after we fasten the 4 outside corners, we come in here to the middle joist because what was critical as we were putting up the beams was that if there's any bow or crown to them at all, that the bow on each beam is opposite the other one, so that as we pull the joist to the 6 1/4 mark on the outside, we keep everything nice and straight. So after our joists are fastened, you'll notice that we've pulled the beams so they're nice and straight to each other. And you can see that the outside edge of the joist, the very end, is a nice straight line. It's critical to get it to this point before we start applying the lathing, which is our next step. We come in 8 inches with our first mark, which will be our overhang from our last joist. And then we mark the lathing with the same on centers as the beams. So we'll get everything lined up. The reason the marks on the lathing are so critical is because you can see that the joists have a natural bow to them. This is in the extrusion, and it's also because we put some tension on them when we push the beams in and out to the marks. So in order to straighten these out and end up with a nice even square, it's critical that we follow the marks that the instructions specified and which we've laid out on the lathing. As long as the ends in the middle are all fastened straight and our layout marks are correct, then when we pull the other joists and the lathing to the layout mark and fasten it, we'll end up with nice even squares. Okay, now with our lathing attached, we've completed our pergola. Touch-up has been provided in case of any scuffs that may occur during installation or afterwards, but as far as removing dirt or grass stains or anything of the sort from the installation, we've had very good luck with soap and water or a magic eraser. Just go over it, and if you absolutely need to touch it up, then use the provided touch-up and enjoy your pergola. Thank you.